Alaska Airlines had a shaky introduction on this channel. Not because I had a bad flight with them. In fact, I had a great flight with Alaska. It was just at a rather surreal time. You can watch that video for more context, but it was an interesting experience, let's just say. So today I'll be taking another flight with Alaska on another one of their mainline 737 jets. That other time from Seattle to Phoenix Sky Harbor, that was on the Dash 900 variant. But in this video, from Los Angeles LAX to Seattle, I'll be on the shorter Dash 800. But it won't be just any Dash 800 as a matter of fact. As you can see, I got very lucky this time, and ended up flying on Alaska's Disneyland Pixar Pier livery. I'm very excited to fly on yet another special livery today, so I hope you enjoy this video. Please remember to like and subscribe. Now let's go. I'm arriving in LAX from Auckland on this Air New Zealand 777. My layover in LAX will be 3.5 hours, and thankfully it is because I'm going to need that time. Shown here is the journey my tour group and me needed to take to get to our connecting flight to Seattle. As you can see, we arrived at the north end of the new concourse of the Tom Bradley International Terminal. So we walked through most of that, went down the arrivals tunnel to the main part of Tom Bradley, and that's where we went through customs. Then we left Tom Bradley and walked outside along the street, passing Terminals 4 and 5, then finally entering Terminal 6, which is the Alaska Airlines terminal at LAX. Because this was an international to domestic layover in the United States, we had to recheck our checked bags, though we probably would have had to do that anyway given that our Alaska flights were on separate tickets from our Air New Zealand ones. Once that was done, we went through security, which was a lot quicker than I expected. Once we made it to the airside, our plane still hadn't arrived, but it was on its way, coming in from Guatemala City. We are on flight 1222 today, 8th one down from the top of the departures board, gate 67. While I waited for my 737 to arrive, I did some Alaska airplane spotting. LAX holds a lot of Alaska's regional jet operations, particularly Alaska SkyWest like the one here, though I also saw a few Horizon Air ones like the one here. I also got a close-up of the 737 MAX 9. This plane will be going to Everett, doors and all. Now here is Alaska's Pixar Pier plane in all of its glory. Tail is November 537 Alpha Sierra, and it is a 12-year-old 737-800. This livery was painted in 2019 in collaboration with Disneyland Resort, and as you can see, it's a really cool and funny livery. It's got a blue sky background with Toy Story characters on the tail, and also on the winglets as you'll see once we board. This is the plane that is going to take us to Seattle, and it's quite a coincidence that we are flying it out of Los Angeles, as the Disneyland itself is located in one of its outer cities. But the Pixar Pier design isn't the only unique thing about this particular Alaska 737-800. November 537 Alpha Sierra is the second newest Dash 800 in Alaska's fleet, second only to 538 Alpha Sierra, the Star Wars livery one. And being one of the newest Dash 800s in Alaska's fleet, it is one of very few Alaska Dash 800s with the sky interior, which is pretty cool. Most of the Alaska Dash 800s will have the classic interior, but not this one. This one's interior will be a lot more similar to most of their 900s. This flight, AS1222, will be a late afternoon departure. But given how frequent this route is done by Alaska, it makes sense that there are two other flights doing this route departing at similar times. You can see on the board that there's a flight to Seattle departing an hour before my flight and then another one an hour after. I wanted to see which aircraft were operating those flights, so I looked them up. The one before my flight, AS1147, was operated by November 516 Alpha Sierra, one of the older and more common Dash 800s. But the flight that was set to depart an hour after mine caught my attention. That one, AS1301, would be using November 309 Alpha Sierra, the exact same 737-900 I took on the opposite route 2 weeks before this. So had we been put on a slightly different itinerary, I could have easily ended up on the same plane twice this this trip, which would have been cool. Though that didn't happen, we got Pixar Pier instead, so it's a win for us anyway. Before we board, I want to show one more thing. To the right of my aircraft on gate 65B, I noticed that there was an American flag. I went online to see if I could find out if there was anything significant about gate 65B, or if there was simply any reason for why this flag was on this specific gate, but I couldn't find anything. So if anyone knows anything about it, please let me know in the comments. I really would love to know if there's any reason behind it. Welcome on board the Disney Pixar Pier. I am in seat 30A. As you can see, we got the alien character from Toy Story on the split Scimitar winglet. Definitely a fun touch to this livery. And our flight to Seattle will be a similar length to many other flights I've taken on this channel, 2 hours. The tray table's a good size, it has 2 cup groves, and like I've said in past videos, I've seen the seat model before. The seats are thin, not the most comfortable, but Alaska did get them with headrests. The legroom is decent, and we get power outlets.
In front of you, so your larger bags overhead. Again, we would ask that you please only store your larger bags overhead so that everyone has room to store their belongings.
The ocean, make a right hand turn up toward Malibu, straight over the top of Lake Tahoe and on into Seattle.
You may have seen in one of the earlier clips that this plane does, in fact, have the Boeing Sky interior. I like this interior a lot, especially with the large overhead bins and the mood lighting. It definitely makes flying on a 737 more enjoyable. So I was quite lucky to get on one of the rare Alaska-800s with the Sky interior. And funny enough, as I said earlier, I took the opposite route 2 weeks before this on one of the older 737-900s. Now, the Alaska-900 variant is different from the Alaska 800 in that the Sky interior is what's typically seen on the 900, while there are a certain few older 900s in their fleet that have the classic interior that's typically seen on their 800. And on that Seattle to LA flight I took 2 weeks before this, I just happened to fly on one of those rare older 900s with the classic interior. So while I was on that flight, I was thinking, seeing that I'm on one of the rare 900s with the classic interior, wouldn't it be ironic if on my return flight I end up on one of the rare 800s with the Sky interior? And what do you know, I did. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you may know that I've actually flown on a few other special liveries before this. 2 years ago, I had to do a last-minute switch from a Swiss twin Austrian Airlines flight, which put me on Austrian's retro livery A320. And a few months before that, I found myself on Lufthansa's retro A321, which is a livery that sadly no longer exists. But then my real surprise was when I ended up taking Southwest Missouri 1 livery later that year, on only the second Southwest flight of my life. After flying on Missouri 1, I figured I'd used up all my luck with special liveries, but now I'm on Pixar Pier, which will be yet another addition to the special livery series on my channel. A lot of United States carriers offer free texting and in-flight entertainment streaming through their Wi-Fi with internet access for purchase, and Alaska is no exception, and their selection of content is really good, which is not surprising given that they perform a lot of transcontinental routes and many flights to Hawaii.
Please have your beverage choice available as we do approach your room. Please do lower your tray tables.
And like Southwest, they have a route map, though this one is very simple.
If you would like to rest, we will let you do so. Please do keep speech.
Alaska offers a choice of complimentary beverages, as shown here on the menu card. Their selection is pretty big compared to other US carriers. They also have alcoholic beverages and snack plates for purchase. My drink choice was a Polar Cranberry Lime Seltzer, and on this flight they gave us the full can. The crew also gave out these complimentary pretzel twist snacks. They were nearly tasteless, so I'd say this is one of Alaska's weak spots. For most of this flight, I was watching a movie and filming outside. Yeah, there was not much else that happened.
Ensure your seatbelt is fastened and remains seated for the rest of the flight. The lavatories will remain closed until we arrive at the gate.
Our descent had us fly parallel to the Seattle Tacoma International and then make a 180 turn right, allowing us to land from the north. This route took us directly over the King County Boeing field, and because I was on the left side of the plane, I got the perfect view of it, which you'll all see in a moment. Anyways, let's land in Seattle. Now here is the King County Boeing field, where 737 jets are prepared for delivery. As you can see, there are dozens of 737 MAX aircraft that are probably undelivered. A few of them might have actually been MAX 7s. When I got off this plane, I found out that its next leg would be Flight 644 Seattle to Phoenix, the exact same flight I took with the 737-900 2 days after the door plug incident. I thought that was a cool coincidence, and I was surprised to find out that that number was still doing that route. So this was another nice flight with Alaska Airlines. First of all, it was great to get a chance on board one of their special liveries. That will always be a special memory. Seats were thin, but the legroom was good. Lots of in-flight entertainment options were available. There was a large drink selection. Yeah, a lot of positives to this flight. The final score for AS1222 will be 8.4 out of 10. I would recommend Alaska's economy to anyone. Given the choice though, I'd take Delta or Southwest over them unless there is a price difference. But over other US carriers like United and American, they definitely have advantages. We ended up parking at one of the few bus gates at Seattle. I flew out of one of them when I took the opposite route 2 weeks before this, so this isn't the last time we'll be here on this channel. I hope you enjoyed this video on Alaska's Pixar Pier livery. If you did, keep an eye out for my next video where I'll take Air New Zealand on their A320neo. Goodbye.